Zhiyun reached out to me after I did my video coverage of the Crane Plus at CES 2018, and they were like, do you want to take a look at the system on your own? I was like, of course. They sent this out. So I want to unbox this, then take you through the process of setting it up appropriately. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this, and I'll quit talking about unboxing it and actually get into unboxing it. So this thing is currently going for $569 US at the time of this video. So you get a lot for what you pay. You get this really nice case. You get some nice documentation and welcoming type of stuff. Zhiyun gives you provided anti-slip grip tape. If you've used a crane or any kind of crane system before, you know that the grip itself can get kind of slippery. This, you just kind of attach to this, roll it around, and it gives an extra amount of grip. While we're talking about grip, you get the grip up here in this top corner, and then these two batteries. These two batteries, they are the 26500 series of batteries, and they offer 3600 milliamp hours and are 13.3 watt hours each. So you're gonna get a lot of power from these Zhiyun batteries. And then you get this really nice kind of stabilizer for these bolts and stuff. You get the charger. One key difference between what previous crane systems have and this crane system, you get this bling, this rose gold hardware in which you can fasten your camera to the gimbal itself. You get a lens support bracket. You get two cables, one for Panasonic and one Sony. So you can use the gimbal to power your camera on the Sony. I'm not sure if it works on Panasonic. I haven't been able to test it. One nice addition that Zhiyun is including in the purchase of this system is their actual self-built or manufactured tripod for this system. So you put this on the bottom of the gimbal and you're able to set it up and balance it. And the star of the show, you get the gimbal body itself with its motors that have a max payload of 2.5 kilograms or 5 pounds, which is much improved over the last systems. They are much beefier motors. You can feel the weight in your hand on each one of these things. They just feel fantastic. While we're on the topic of payload for these, I want to take a look at the redesigned kind of mounting plate for your camera system on the Crane Plus. The tilt motor here has a micro USB output, so you can kind of pair the power or take advantage of the power that's in the gimbal system and push it to your Sony cameras. The actual balancing plate has been redesigned, so you got this kind of free floating embedded plate that you never have to worry about losing. So you take your 1/4-20, attach it to your camera, tighten it down as much as you possibly can, and then you can kind of work with balancing your camera within this system. Another cool thing that they added to this nice kind of mounting plate is the ability to adjust the lens support system as well. I found myself not using the lens support system on previous versions of the crane because it wouldn't adjust. Taking a look at the handle here, you got a 2-directional thumb knob that adjusts pan and tilting. You got a mode button which allows you to change between the 5 different modes on this gimbal system. You got a shutter button, and then you got a shifter lever, so if you use this in conjunction with a Sony camera that it supports it, with a power zoom or any type of thing like that, it will zoom in and zoom out if you make those adjustments. On Panasonic cameras, I believe this adjusts, allows or gives you the ability to adjust focus. And then you got another micro USB here that is used for firmware updates. And that's pretty much all that you get with the actual body of the Crane Plus. One key thing that I forgot to talk to you about on the handle is that they do provide a 3/8 to 1/4-20 adapter here. It's kind of screwed in because this is 1/4-20. But the cool thing about this is that it is 3/8 threaded, so you can literally mount this to any tripod head. So since we've unboxed this whole system, let's go ahead, put it together, and then balance a camera system. If you're looking into the Crane Plus for balancing a setup similar to this, I have the Sony a7R II with the Sigma 18-35 lens adapted to the body via a Metabones adapter. I'm here to tell you that this setup does not balance appropriately on the Crane Plus. The weight of this system is not distributed evenly enough because the lens is so heavy. So if you're looking at the Crane Plus to balance a setup similar to this is not your solution because it will not work. One setup that I found that was successful in balancing on the Crane Plus is this. It's the Canon 16-35 adapted to the body using the Metabones adapter. One caveat with trying to balance this system onto this gimbal is that you'll have to remove the eye cup, and I would highly recommend using the Metabones adapter camera mount. So don't mount it directly to the body. You're going to want to mount it to the Metabones itself, and it balances really nicely and it works out really well. With this type of camera system, you have 16-35 in full frame mode, and you can punch in using APS-C mode and get a whole different set of focal lengths. So this kind of setup works really well with the Crane Plus. So before you begin balancing onto this gimbal, you want to make sure that all of these are taut, because you don't want them bouncing around while you're trying to balance your camera. You can imagine if this was to slide and you were to drop your camera, that would just be a very bad day for you. So make sure everything is kind of tight to where it's not going to slip and slide. So you just take the actual 1/4-20 bolt that is provided to you by Zhiyun, slide it in and tighten it to the Metabones adapter. Don't put it too tight, because you want to kind of align the camera almost to the tilt motor here. Don't put it too close to the tilt motor because it will obstruct it, but you want to get it as close as possible just to start. First thing that you're going to want to balance is the tilt motor. So to do that is to kind of align this your camera system this way and loosen this screw knob here to adjust the tilt motor. You're not going for like perfect balance, but you want it to kind of be to where you don't have to hold the camera too long to where it's kind of balancing itself up like that. I am holding the actual roll motor in place so it doesn't roll over. So when I have it all balanced to where the camera's sitting by itself up like that, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down the tilt motor adjustment. Now, to make an additional balance to the tilt motor, I want to get the camera system to kind of sit freely. Additionally, I'm going to loosen up the roll motor. So I'm going to loosen this one up and kind of get this to where the roll motor is going to sit nicely. You might be playing adjustment game here with this specific setup. You're going to have to take your camera all the way back, and this is the reason why you had to remove the eye cup. I don't know if you can see right here is that you want to get it as close to the roll motor as possible, because that's where it's going to balance perfectly utilizing this adapted lens. So now that I have that done, I can go ahead and balance the roll motor to where it doesn't bounce all over the place and kind of lean different ways. So now that we have this system kind of balanced, we're going to go ahead and tilt this system out. You can see that the pan motor is a little off balance. So hold the whole camera system in both hands while you make adjustments. Tighten it down to kind of gauge where you're at. It's not going to be good if it's just going up like that. So be very careful when you're doing it. So to start, I usually push it all the way to the back. And then I gradually move it forward a little bit. That's a little too much. And then tighten it down again. Now you can see that I have the camera system balanced because it's not bouncing in any other direction or anything like that. So we're good to go ahead and turn it on. So now that we're all pre-balanced, we can go ahead and power this thing on by holding the power button for 3 seconds. It'll power on. You can see that it's on. Initially it powers on in pan follow mode, which means it's going to follow any of your pans and follow you. One thing that it doesn't do is tilt. So it doesn't initially power on with any tilt follows. If you push the mode button once, it goes into this chicken head mode, so it's not going to follow any of your movement. If you double tap the mode button again, it's going to follow pan follow mode and tilt follow. To get into selfie mode, you quickly tap the mode button 3 times. It puts the camera into selfie mode. To return, go ahead and tap it 3 times again to put it back into its initial position. So if you get anywhere, if you're like messing with the thumb screws or anything like that, to just double tap it and it'll return home. One thing that I really like about this gimbal is going into POV mode. So if you tap it 1, 2, 3, you can get the gimbal to go into POV mode. Now it doesn't always do it, and that's kind of the most bothersome thing about this, is that I never know what mode I'm in. See, I just double tapped it, but I usually have to triple tap it. And without any OLED screen telling me what mode I'm in, it's really difficult to know where I am in the modes because I'm just kind of clicking away. But you can see that the Crane Plus does do this nice little Dutch angle where it's following the cant of the roll motor, and you can get some really creative shots with that. Now there's a couple of things that I don't like about this gimbal system. Its inability to kind of manage weight lengths, or where the distribution of the camera is longer than the actual roll motor allows you to adjust for. So for example, like I was saying, you cannot balance the Sigma 18 to 35 on this system at all. It's just too heavy of glass. The thing with that is that this is capable of managing 5 pounds worth of payload. This with the Metabones and the Sony A7R II is not even close to 5 pounds. So, I mean, if your system is not, doesn't have the proper distribution of weight and is under 5 pounds, it will not work with this because of simple physics, because this motor is in the way. It doesn't allow you to push back anymore. You do need to be aware of the limitations of the actual capabilities of this gimbal system. The second thing I don't like about this gimbal system is the mode buttons. Like I was just saying, I never know which mode I'm in, but it's not that big of a deal because I can usually click around and make sure to get to the mode that I want. One thing with that though, if you're shooting a professional project and you need to know exactly where you are when you're running and gunning, this could be a problem. So just be aware of that. If you're capable of remembering how many clicks you are in or whatever, it's not the problem of remembering how many clicks I have to do. It's the problem of remembering what mode I'm in and how to get out of that mode and go to the mode that I want to.